Oh, hiya, hiya. It's the Joey Reynolds rap. Welcome to Florida. Can you tell? Someone says, "Are you back in New York?" We don't have these palm trees in New York yet, but they do in people's apartments. They have the reality behind them. Reality screen. You can get this when you are doing a Zoom call too. You can put all of that stuff in the background. You could be anywhere you want to be. Good for criminals. It's good for government. Well, they're one and the same. I'll tell you, I have something in common with Elon Musk. We both got our booster shots yesterday. I think somewhere along the line, I'm going to have to be screened with this call, and this is it. The network wants to screen me. The bad news is I own the network. Yeah, streaming is something that we do. Someone peed in my stream. But streaming is when you have this broadcast that doesn't have any responsibility and good lighting either. Am I in there? Yeah. When you do this show from your own home and you have your own equipment and you are responsible for the broadcast and nobody pays for it so they don't control it. Nobody yells at you because they don't care. And you don't know who's watching it or how long or what they're going to do with it either. So here I am. I'm totally independent, and this is what everybody wants to be in America. I saw there's an ad running for Salazar. Is that her name? Some woman is running from some Cuban running from Miami. Isn't that unusual? And she's saying that she doesn't want. This is an election thing. I'm just correcting the thing because it struck me as being really stupid. She said, "Well, we lost our country to socialism over my dead body." And I'm thinking, what? She's stupid. You didn't lose your country over socialism. You lost your country over a dictator, not socialism. I'm not promoting socialism, but that's not what happened to Cuba. Cuba was because you had a maniac running the place. Doesn't that sound familiar? And it's not socialism. Nobody wants to be social in the regard that they want something that they made being taken from them or forcefully shared. Nobody wants that. I can't think of anybody on the planet that wants that. The Chinese or the North Koreans. I mean, these people are just victims. That's all. They're being led by these dictators, and I had that in broadcasting. You had a lot of these guys. They're mumsers. They get at the top of the scale and they start to tell you what they want to have done when they can't even do what you do. They don't have the talent you have, but they're running the show because they have power and they have money, and that's the way it goes when you're on this planet. So far, Elon Musk. So where's he going to go? Up to visit Darth Vader? I mean, there's no other place to go. There's no place to go in the universe. You can't go anywhere right now. You can only have fun and pretend that you got somebody, relatives on the moon. Alice, you're going to go to the moon. Alice. Jackie Gleason, circa 1960s or 50s. So, we have a different society now. I say it every day. And it keeps changing. I joined Netflix and Espresso. I don't know which one, whether to have my coffee or to watch a movie. But I do know this on streaming, which Netflix did very well with, especially during the pandemic when you had so few choices. People would rather sit there and watch a movie on their handheld rather than watch a big screen and see all of these ridiculous people running for office, which is what we're subject to. The political thing is it's over the top. It's just done. Oh, here's the latest thing. Apples. Do you know about Apple, the Big Apple? Hey, listen to this one. Apples now are more expensive than ever because that's what they use in school, and we have an economy, inflation, so all the prices have gone up for everything, and the apples were usually the staple because there were so many of them, so plentiful, and we're in the fall, and there's millions of trees. Thank you, Johnny Appleseed. And you have all of these apples on the market, all different kinds from the West Coast. You got the white apples, you got the Macintosh, you got the eating apples, the angel apples. You got all kinds of them, but they're very expensive now because the schools put them in the school lunch. They say it's the number one fruit for children in school is apples, and the number one computer too, I think. But when you have an apple a day, it keeps who do you keep away? Keeps it. Actually, it keeps the grocery store away. And they polish them. They don't use. I don't think they use anything that's hygienic when they polish the thing. They probably use something that's got some chlorine in it. I don't know. But I'll tell you this: I'm going to make the apple cheesecake because I have the Joey Reynolds cheesecake, which is a regular key lime, and now we're going to have the apple, because it's, first of all, don't keep me away from something because it's overpriced. Oh my God, that's the story of my life. The whole industry is based on overpricing, and then you think you have something special because you have something that you can afford, no one else can. Ooh, that's an elitist core. They have a company that mails cheesecakes, for instance. They charge $110 for mailing for a cheesecake that you might buy at Costco. You know, I mean, it's a why? What's that called? Golden something or other. But let me go back to the story. So my daughter's in Julian, California, which is San Diego County, is up in the hills. Famous for the apple pie. The most famous pie in the whole country is the Julian apple pie. There's all these stores and restaurants, and I'm going to sound like Jackie Gleason. The stores and the restaurants, they all serve, they have apple this, apple that, they have apple plexi. So what I would do is open up a cheesecake store so that someone could have something different. That's what I did in the fair over at San Gennaro in Little Italy. We had all of these merchants. Everybody had the greasy spoon. They had those little greasy balls that they have. What do they call those things again? And then gelato and cannoli. And everybody was selling something the same, except I had the cheesecake. And we charged less for it. So that's what I'm doing with the Joey Reynolds cheesecake. I'm charging less, and we're going to ship it for a modest price. If we're not going to be able to do that, I'll hand deliver them. I'm going to go door to door with this thing. I'm going to be like a Jehovah's Witness of cheesecake. I'm going to hand out cheesecake samples at the airport. I would do that, you know. I'm that kind of guy. I don't think it's too smart, but I'm not too smart. So the apple thing in Julian, California, I have to break that cartel. I did it with the drugs up in the other end of the state, up in Humboldt County, when my daughter was growing marijuana before it was legal, and I did a documentary on all of that. And we broke that cartel. They never hired Mexicans because Mexicans know how to form the union. So what they would do is hire Irishmen. Did you know that? See, you didn't know that. It's a fact of life. The Irish are better workers because they don't work with each other and conglomerate. They don't get together and form cartels. I learned that when I was up there. Anyhow, I got involved in that thing up in Humboldt County, now on the other end of the state, which is San Diego, where my daughter is, and that's where the apple plexi is. I will bring my cheesecake and take over the whole town. It'll be cheesecake country. Yeah, and what is it that I want to mention? Yeah, oh yeah, my friend Bernard McQuik, he was a Marine, and we didn't have interns yet, but when I was at NBC in New York, WNBC, and we had followed Howard Stern at that time, Jay Sorensen and myself. Bernard was one of the little slaves that we had, who were young people that wanted to be with the big shots, and they were there. I had a wonderful producer, incidentally. And well, yeah, what's his name? You don't know his name? I forgot his name. No, it's it's Doyle, Mr. Doyle. He's Professor Doyle, and he was teaching at Fordham, as a matter of fact, after he left NBC. So those young guys, they started to do these things with superstars. Like Bernard was a slave to Imus for years, and then when Imus died, they gave him the morning show with another partner on ABC, WABC. He just died. He died of prostate cancer. Bernard did. Bernard died. So I'm sorry about that, because he was really a good guy. I used to drive him home sometimes from the station, because I had a car, and he would live, I think it was in Westchester at the time. But whatever the case, we are still here, and some of these guys have graduated. They've gone to become big on their own, which is appropriate. I like helping newcomers. I have one right now that I'm working with, a guy who's on the way up. He does streaming from New York. I put him on the stage with the meatball eating contest along with myself, and he's Todd Wharton, his name. He's a wonderful guy. Wharton, Todd Wharton. McWhorter was a dentist. How did I figure that? Oh, I know, because I gave him all my Star Wars memorabilia. That's how I remember his name. He's in California. Can you imagine that? I gave him everything from Star Wars. Gave him all the one sheets and video negatives from the film. Oh boy. Well, who knew? He's not doing dentistry anymore, I'll bet. Anyway, back to McWhorter, to this other guy, to Todd Wharton. You'll hear his name more and more. He's not McWhorter. I see. I like to talk, and texting is not good for this, because texting better be brief. I'm too. Sometimes people don't want to read my texts because they're too long, and I send photos with them. And I just finding that out. They would rather read a message board or ignore an email or regular snail mail. But people don't want to. They don't want to have a conversation easily anymore, because it's laborious. You know, listening to what I'm talking about right now, you'd have to be totally interested and say, what's he talking about? I don't want to hear any more. Or else you'd say, yeah, that's a good idea. You know, one or the other. It goes one way or the other. But I saw where Paramount is releasing the Yellowstone again. So that's a hit movie. That is a series, and they did the trailer for it, so it comes back on again. Paramount is another one of those subsidiaries. It's owned by, is it Viacom that owns that one too? They're the guys who have all this money invested in streaming, and they can't get out of their own way with the network. But I still think I'm along with them on 60 Minutes. I think that last minute should be mine. I could be as ornery as Andy Rooney was, if you recall him, and just as crazy. And also, I'd even let them edit me, or screen me. Yeah, it's a difficult. It's hard being me. And Bruce Springsteen is on fire now. That's the name of his video, is On Fire. And I'm the late Joey Reynolds, and Bernard McQuik is passed on. So, you know, the economy is not a big deal in my life today with all those other things going on. And we're doing a good job with cleaning up the rich people. Those wealthy people are getting help from the poor people. Isn't that a reversal role? And we're going to have a telethon for them, too, in Fort Myers. That's coming up. Our church, the Calvary Church in Fort Lauderdale, is heavily involved in helping them rebuild with hammer and nail. You know, I mean, these are really construction guys. I'm not one of those. I'm a destruction guy. I'm the one that takes things down. I take them down. I don't know how to put things together, but I sure know how to pull them apart. And I love that pillow. That the pillow guy missed out on this one. They have the pillow for two people now. You know, it's a pillow for two, which is strange because all of my friends are old and they sleep alone. They snore, or they don't want to hear any complaining, and they want to read a book and go to bed. The other one's watching sports, so they don't want that pillow for two, unless you use it for your neck or your legs. It's no fun getting old. But I think I want to be paid for it. I think the government ought to pay me. And I want to get rid of Social Security. Now, there is that woman, Salazar, that's running for office. That's Social Security. Yeah, try getting rid of that one. What a dumb broad. Anyway, didn't I get in trouble for that? I called Annie Uccello, the first mayor in Hartford. I call her a dumb broad. I'm going to get in trouble again, this time with the Cubans. It's a Reynolds wrap.